So when I was first asked to do this, Margaret sent an email and it just read, event to honor abolitionist T. Paine. And I was honored and humbled. And then I thought, wait, when the hell was T. Paine an abolitionist? How old is this dude? Is he like a vampire or something? Did he do this in between albums? And then I realized she meant this T. Paine, Thomas Paine. And I had to do my research because I had never heard of him, which was embarrassing because as a black man who has studied history, I thought I knew all the white folk who had ever helped us historically. From John Brown to William Lloyd Garrison, and my personal favorite, Mr. Rogers. Hey, that was a very controversial episode in his neighborhood. See what I did there? Because the theme song actually says in the neighborhood. It's fine. You know what? Focus time. Focus. So then I thought maybe I'll do something funny, humorous. Maybe show the ramifications of freedom fighters like Paine never existing or ever standing up for the rights of black people. And could you imagine in 2024, black people still not being allowed to read? Okay, that's gonna be a double. No! You know, this really could be avoided if you let me pick up a book. But the more I discovered about Mr. Paine, the more I thought, instead of making light of such a dark time in American history, I wanted to highlight how much respect I gained for a dude I literally just learned about. What he stood for, believed in, accomplished, and more importantly, who he accomplished it for should be celebrated. What he spoke out against should be remembered. And him choosing humanity over hatred should be revered. Now I say choosing humanity because honestly, during that time, he could have just accepted how things were. He didn't have to do what was right, just, decent, and civil. Yet he chose to. And that's how real change is made. His use of the term men stealers when describing the practice of slavery, while the country and a lot of parts of the world called it business, accentuated his understanding of what African human beings had to endure. Basically, he was woke before it was cool. Because historically, we as black people have been made to feel like our struggle is just that. Our struggle, our pain, and our injustice. Historically, we've been made to feel that if you don't look like us, you can't possibly understand us. Our ancestors were made to feel that why would or should anybody who doesn't look like us even give a damn about us? Thomas Paine was one of the rare exceptions to the literal rule. He could have gone along with the status quo. Because remember, it was normal to look at an African as less than. Literally, 3/5 of a person, it was written. So for him to not just look at us, but see us, was not only revolutionary, it was right and just and civil and decent. Him truly recognizing and acknowledging black people as fathers, mothers, daughters, and sons. When the law of the land then actually allowed for otherwise is why we're talking about him today. Unfortunately, his philosophy on mankind during an ancient time, a time of enlightenment, is still needed today. But if it wasn't for people like Paine and others who shared his ideology, we wouldn't be where we are today. And more importantly, if that ideology hadn't been acted on, past atrocities would still be commonplace. A couple of Thomas Paine quotes stood out to me. One, man has no property in man, nor has any generation a property in the generations which to follow. And man did not enter into society to become worse than before, nor have less rights than before, but to have those rights better secured. His natural rights are the foundation of human rights, meaning you can't own a person or their kids, which in 2024 makes common sense. It's just regular, it's natural. But we often forget that there was a time in history where that was not the case. So progress was needed and made. And don't get me wrong, progress is still needed, but it was made. Because to go from something so barbaric as to take a parent from their child, their children, their family, simply because of what they look like, to the descendants of those slaves sending their kids to college, takes compassion, understanding, and progress. It's the difference between black women being viewed as cooks, cleaners, and worse, to scientists, doctors, and first ladies. It's the difference between laws that prohibited voting and the advancement of black men and women to a generation of modern day black lawmakers and presidents. Lastly, Thomas Paine also said, the greatest forces that can be brought into the fields of revolution are reason and common interest. Now, I took that to mean that regardless of your background, your culture, etc., we're human beings and should be treated as such. And the reason and the common interest are what affects 97% of us. Job security, poverty, healthcare, bodily autonomy, keeping yourself and your family safe. So if we start with those reasons and those common interests, we can truly start to build a society that nurtures, considers, values, and cares for everyone who needs it. Thank you for your time. Now I gotta go listen to the other T-Pain.